Get ready to dive deep, everyone, because today we're all about professional polish.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. Help you make a killer first impression, build a network, all that.
Navigate this whole working world thing.
Mhm.
So you sent in this YouTube interview, right, with these career experts from Augusta University.
Yes.
And let me tell you, they were dropping some serious knowledge.
Yeah, really good stuff in there. Very insightful.
Especially, I think, for someone like you who is about to step into, like, the professional arena.
Yeah.
So, like, get ready.
Get ready. What I really liked about this interview is that it goes way beyond, just the typical firm handshake advice.
Yeah.
Like, they get into the psychology of, like, why certain things work, for making a good impression.
Okay, so first impressions. Right off the bat, the experts drop this. Like, truth bomb, you have 7 seconds to make an impact.
7 seconds, yeah.
7 seconds.
It's crazy.
It seems so little.
I know.
What's the science, though, behind that? Like, how...
Yeah. Well, think about it this way. Our brains, they're basically wired to make these, like, lightning fast judgments, right? Based on very limited information.
I guess so, yeah.
And if you think about it from, like, an evolutionary standpoint, way back when, we had to decide really quickly, is this person friend or foe?
Yeah, fight or flight.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
So that instinct, it's still with us today.
Oh, wow. So we're like fighting against our primal instincts when we walk into a job interview or a networking event.
Yeah, in a way we are. But, knowing that actually gives us a huge advantage.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, because we can consciously shape those first impressions.
Okay.
By, paying attention to things like our appearance.
So they're saying, like, looks matter.
Well, they did emphasize, you don't need to have a designer wardrobe, but you do need to look clean, presentable, put together.
I see. It's like that first impression, the visual, right?
Exactly. And shoes. And they said shoes are a big one.
Oh, shoes. I remember they told this story, this anecdote about this young woman showing up in platform shoes to an event.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, not good.
I can just imagine the blisters and, like, the awkwardness.
I know. Especially, if you're, like, running around at a networking event.
Yeah.
Not a good look.
So that's a big no-no, platform shoes at, like, a professional event.
Yeah, probably not the best choice.
But like, for students or recent grads, maybe who don't have a ton of cash to splash on professional clothes, what did the experts recommend?
Well, they talked about resourcefulness being key.
Okay.
They mentioned things like clothing banks.
Oh, yeah.
Thrifting.
Okay, I like that.
Even like reaching out to, mentors or career services at your university.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because they're saying you'd be surprised at the resources that are available to help you look the part without breaking the bank.
That's really great advice. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the digital world.
Okay, yeah.
Because honestly, it's kind of impossible these days to separate our online lives from our offline lives, right?
It is very true.
And the expert said employers are looking at social media.
100%.
Like, they are checking you out.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do we clean up our digital footprint?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to put it, right? Think of it like this. Your online presence, it's basically like a 24/7 interview.
Wow. That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, so employers, they want to see who you are outside of that resume, right?
Right.
And that cover letter.
Beyond just those, like, very formal documents.
Right, exactly. So they recommend, first of all, Google yourself.
Oh, okay.
See what comes up.
See they see, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Any questionable photos,
Oh, yeah.
controversial opinions, anything that you wouldn't want, a potential employer to see.
Right.
You've got to address those.
So, like, if I'm trying to land a job in a more conservative industry, maybe those photos of me crowd surfing at Coachella gotta go.
Yeah, I think probably a good idea to maybe make those private for a little while.
Yeah, temporarily hide them.
Exactly.
So it's all about being strategic.
It is.
And, like, tailoring your online presence to the audience you're trying to reach.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not just about removing things.
Okay.
It's also about building a positive online presence that showcases your skills and interests.
Okay, so, like, putting out good stuff.
Yeah.
Not just taking down the bad.
Exactly.
Okay, I see. So the experts talked a lot about LinkedIn.
They did it, yeah.
They called it your digital handshake.
Yes.
So what does that even mean?
Okay, so think of LinkedIn like as your professional highlight reel.
I like that.
Yeah, it's where you can showcase your skills, experience, your connections, and it's all easily accessible to potential employers.
Okay.
And one of the experts actually, they shared that they landed their current job through a LinkedIn connection.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it really works.
That's a great example. It really shows like the power of building that network online.
It does. It does.
But okay, let's get tactical here. For someone who's totally new to LinkedIn, what are some actionable steps they can take to make their profile stand out?
Yeah, great question. So first things first, make sure your profile is complete and up to date.
Makes sense.
Right?
Got to have all that info there.
You need a professional headshot
Oh, yeah, definitely.
and a compelling summary
Okay.
that highlights your key skills and experience.
So, like, it's not just about having a profile. It's about actively using it, too.
Exactly.
Okay.
Treat it as an ongoing networking opportunity,
I like that.
not just a place to kind of park your resume.
It's like a living document, basically.
Yeah, very much so.
And keep it fresh.
Yeah.
And don't forget about the power of those LinkedIn recommendations.
Yes, those are gold.
Right. They can add so much credibility to your profile, especially when you're starting out.
For sure.
Okay, let's move on to kind of the dreaded document, resumes.
Yes.
The thing that causes so much stress for job seekers.
It does. It does.
What are some key things you keep in mind when crafting a resume, especially in like today's digital age?
So they said that a resume, it's not a creative writing exercise.
Okay, it's not like a novel.
No, it's not. It's a concise, targeted document.
Okay.
And it needs to showcase your skills and experience in a way that's easily digestible
Okay.
for both human readers and applicant tracking systems.
Wait, applicant tracking systems? What are those?
Yeah, so ATS, a lot of companies use them.
Okay.
They basically scan resumes for specific keywords
Whoa, interesting.
and qualifications before a human even looks at it.
It's like a robot gatekeeper, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it.
That's wild.
So that's why it's crucial to tailor your resume to each specific job.
I see. So no more like generic one-size-fits-all resumes.
Yeah, probably not the best strategy anymore.
That makes a lot of sense.
And ditch those fancy templates.
Really?
Yeah, they can actually mess with the formatting and make it harder for the ATS to read your resume.
So keep it clean and simple.
Exactly. Easy to scan.
Like robot-friendly resumes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we've got our online presence sorted, our resumes tailored. We're starting to build our network on LinkedIn. But what about that face-to-face networking?
Oh, yeah, the in-person stuff.
I think a lot of people, myself included, get like really nervous about those big networking events.
I get it, yeah.
Any tips for introverts who would rather just like hide in the corner with a good book than, work or roam?
Yeah, they had some great advice for that. So they said, networking doesn't have to be this big, scary thing.
Okay.
Instead of trying to conquer the entire room, set a small, achievable goal.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like have 2 meaningful conversations.
Okay, too.
That's it. 2. And that kind of takes the pressure off.
That makes it a lot more manageable.
It does.
But like, how do you even psych up those conversations? Where do you even begin?
Okay, so one tip they shared was to pay attention to body language.
Okay, interesting.
Right. So if someone is standing with an open stance, arms uncrossed, it's a good indication that they're open to chatting.
I see. So like, look for the welcoming vibes.
Exactly. And you can always try starting with like a simple observation or a question related to the event itself.
Oh, okay. So like, instead of saying, are you enjoying the event? You could say, what's been the most interesting conversation you've had so far?
Exactly.
That's good. Yeah.
That kind of encourages the other person to open up
Yeah.
and takes the pressure off of you to carry the whole conversation.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah. You can also try relating to something they've said, even if it's like a small detail.
Oh, okay.
It shows that you're listening, you're genuinely interested.
Right. Because it's not just about talking. It's about listening.
It is, very much so.
Really being present in the moment.
And don't forget about body language on your side of things, too.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Make eye contact, nod your head, smile.
Okay.
All of that signals that you're engaged.
Right. Because even if you're saying all the right things, if you're like looking down at your phone or, fidgeting, it sends the wrong message.
It does.
This has been so helpful already. I'm sure our listener is feeling like way more confident about navigating this whole professional world thing.
Yeah, me too.
We've covered a lot of ground already in this first part of our deep dive. We talked about first impressions, online presence, networking basics, but we're not done yet.
No, we're not. There's so much more to explore.
So much more.
Yeah.
And like, I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah.
But for now, we're going to take a little break, but we'll be back soon with more insights.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
So welcome back to the deep dive.
I'm so glad to be back.
I'm glad you're here. You know, we're going to keep digging deeper into those skills, right?
Yeah.
To not just survive, but thrive in the professional world.
Absolutely. Thrive, that's what we want.
Yeah.
Last time, we talked about first impressions, resumes, LinkedIn.
Right. We dipped our toes into the networking pool, you know?
Yeah. We dipped our toes. Now, let's talk about those moments.
Okay.
Those sometimes awkward, sometimes hilarious moments that happen when you're interacting with people in a professional setting.
Yes. The things that make you just want to, like, disappear.
Oh my gosh, tell me about it. Like that time I spilled coffee all over myself 2 minutes before a huge presentation.
Oh, no.
But in this interview, the experts had such good advice.
Yeah, they did.
For handling these situations with grace, what'd they say?
Well, first of all, they said, don't panic.
Oh, easier said than done.
I know, right? But seriously, take a deep breath.
Okay, deep breaths.
If you made a mistake, apologize sincerely.
Okay.
And then try to make light of the situation if appropriate.
Yes, a little self-deprecating humor can go a long way.
It can, it can.
So like, oh, well, there goes my chance of winning the most put-together employee award.
Exactly, exactly. It shows that you don't take yourself too seriously.
And we all make mistakes.
We do, everyone does.
What matters is how we handle them.
Exactly. You know, they also talked about those awkward silences.
Oh, the silence.
Conversations.
Especially when you're networking.
Yes.
Those moments where you just, like, you can't think of anything to say.
I know, the mind goes blank.
It's like, oh my gosh, what do I do?
I know, right? So their advice for that is have a few, like, go-to questions.
Okay.
You know, in your back pocket.
Like ready to go.
Yeah, open-ended questions.
Open-ended, so not just yes or no.
Right, exactly.
Okay, I see.
Something to get them talking.
Okay, so instead of saying, are you enjoying the event, you could say, what's been the most interesting conversation you've had so far?
Exactly, exactly.
That encourages them to open up.
It does, yeah. It gets them talking, takes the pressure off of you.
I love that. It's like, oh, thank goodness they're talking.
Yeah. You can also try to, like, relate to something they said.
Okay.
Even if it's a small detail.
Okay.
Shows you're listening, you're interested.
Which is so important, because it's not just about talking, it's about listening.
It is, very much so. You know, they also talked about mentors.
Oh.
Finding a mentor. They even said, like, find your Sherpa.
Oh, I love that analogy.
I know, right?
It really captures that, you know, having someone experience, someone who can guide you.
Exactly, through unfamiliar territory.
But how do you actually find a mentor?
Yeah.
Especially when you're starting out, it can be so intimidating.
It can be, but it can be really simple, you know?
Okay.
Reach out to someone you admire.
Okay.
Ask for advice.
So simple, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Could be a professor, a former boss, you know, someone you connected with on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Family friend, someone in your field.
So just don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Ask for guidance. What's the worst that could happen?
Right, exactly. And even if they can't commit to, you know, formal mentoring,
Right.
they might be willing to offer some advice
Okay.
or connect you with someone else in their network.
That's so valuable. Okay, let's talk about challenges, like specific hurdles that students in recent grads face when they're entering the workforce.
Right.
I remember feeling so lost when I graduated.
I know, right?
It's like,
yeah.
how do I translate all this academic knowledge into actual real-world skills?
Well, right. The things that employers actually want.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what they want. So what did the experts say?
Well, they had some great suggestions. So internships.
Internship.
Volunteer opportunities.
Okay.
Fantastic ways to gain experience.
Right.
Build your network.
Because sometimes it feels like you need experience to get experience.
I know, it's a catch-22.
Which is so frustrating.
It is. But internships, volunteering, you can break out of that cycle.
Okay, I like that, breaking out of the cycle.
Yeah. You can also try to find ways to apply your academic skills to real-world projects.
So like a personal project?
Yeah, yeah. Or, you know, if you're a marketing major, offer to help a local business with their social media.
Okay.
You know, things like that.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the job search itself?
Oh, yeah. So much to unpack there.
Any tips for standing out, you know, in such a crowded job market these days?
They said preparation is key.
Okay, preparation.
Do your research on the companies you're interested in.
Okay.
Tailor your resume, your cover letter.
We talked about that, yeah.
Practice your interviewing skills
Okay.
until you feel confident.
Yeah, you got to get those reps in.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's all about putting in the work, really doing your homework.
It is. And networking, they said that was key.
Networking, there it is again.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to reach out to people in your field.
Reach out. It can feel a bit awkward, I think, asking for help.
It can, but remember, everyone starts somewhere.
That's true. It's very true.
And persistence is key.
Okay, persistence.
It can be tough.
Yeah, the job search.
But don't give up.
You got to keep going.
Keep learning. Keep networking.
Okay, so you got the job.
Yes, you landed the job. Congratulations.
What happens then?
Okay, so then they talked about work-life balance.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Which can be a real struggle.
Especially when you're starting out.
Right.
You want to prove yourself.
Exactly.
You're putting in the long hours.
Yeah.
What did they say?
So it's easy to get caught up in that hustle, right?
Uh-huh.
And burn yourself out.
Burnout is a real thing.
It is. So they emphasize setting boundaries.
Okay. Boundaries.
Prioritizing self-care.
Yes. Self-care.
Making time for things you enjoy.
Outside of work.
Exactly.
That can be hard when you feel the pressure.
It can.
To work those long hours.
But remember, your health.
Yes.
Your well-being.
That's what matters.
Those are your most valuable assets.
That's a good reminder. This has been so helpful.
Great.
We've covered so much.
We have.
We talked about awkward situations, finding a mentor, navigating the job search, work-life balance.
All important stuff. We're going to wrap up in the next part.
Yes, the last part of this deep dive.
Looking at some bigger picture elements of a successful career. Things like ethical decision-making, continuous learning, and giving back to the community.
Stay tuned. And we are back for the final part of our deep dive.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It really has. We've covered so much ground, like from those all-important first impressions to, really navigating the complexities of like the actual workplace.
Yeah, to finding that mentor and landing that dream job.
Yes, exactly. But now I think it's time to sort of like step back a little bit and look at the bigger picture.
Okay, I like that, the bigger picture.
Yeah. So in this interview, the experts really emphasize this idea that a fulfilling career, it's more than just, climbing the ladder or earning a big paycheck.
It's about more than that, right? It's those other elements that actually make it meaningful.
Yeah, they talked about things like ethical decision-making, continuous learning, and giving back to your community.
Yeah, and those are the elements that can shape a really impactful career journey.
Okay, so let's start with ethics, because honestly, I think it can be a tough topic to navigate.
It can be.
Especially in a competitive work environment where, like, the pressure's on to succeed.
There are so many gray areas.
It's like, what do you do? What do they say?
Well, they stressed having a strong moral compass.
Okay, moral compass.
And being willing to speak up.
Even if it's hard.
Yeah, if you see something that's not right.
Okay, so stand up for what you believe in.
They said integrity is so essential.
For sure.
For building trust and credibility.
Absolutely.
Not just with your colleagues, but also with your clients, customers.
It's about those relationships.
And it's not just about avoiding unethical behavior.
Okay.
It's also about promoting those ethical practices within your organization.
Even if it's hard.
Even if it's hard.
So being that, like, positive force.
Yeah.
But that can be challenging, right? Like if you're new to a company or, maybe in a junior position.
Especially then, it can be really daunting.
But the experts said even small actions can make a difference.
They can, yeah.
So like if you hear someone making a discriminatory remark, speak up.
Speak up.
Or if you see a colleague cutting corners.
Raise those concerns.
It's about accountability.
It is.
Okay, I like that. Creating a culture of accountability and respect.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about continuous learning. Because honestly, in today's world, things are moving so fast. Like, it doesn't stop once you graduate.
Right, the learning never stops.
It never stops.
It's a lifelong journey.
It really is.
They really hammered this point home. To stay relevant, competitive.
You have to keep learning.
You have to keep learning, constantly upskilling.
Okay, so what does that look like?
So it could be taking courses.
Okay, courses.
Attending conferences, reading industry publications.
Oh, yeah?
Even just, having conversations with people.
Oh, yeah?
Who are doing interesting things.
Picking their brains.
Yeah, staying curious.
Curiosity, I love that.
Embracing new ideas.
And the experts also talked about mentors here, too.
Yes, they did. Finding those mentors that can guide you.
Through it all.
Yeah, help you navigate all the challenges and opportunities.
Because it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
Career is a journey.
It really is. And a good mentor, they can be like a sounding board.
I like that, a sounding board.
A source of inspiration. A champion for your success.
Okay, let's talk about giving back to your community.
Yes. They said this is so crucial.
Okay.
for a fulfilling career.
It's about more than just, yourself.
It is. It's about using your skills, your talents,
Yeah.
to make a positive impact.
On the world around you.
Yeah. And that could be volunteering,
Volunteering, okay.
donating to charities, being an active and engaged citizen in your community.
Being a good person.
Yeah, exactly. And they said, giving back, it not only benefits others,
Okay.
it benefits you.
I like that.
It can give you a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Help you connect with others.
Oh, absolutely.
Broaden your perspective.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have. We really have.
We explored everything from those first impressions, to navigating the workplace. But more importantly, cultivating a career that is both successful and fulfilling.
Absolutely. Finding that balance.
And I hope, you listening out there are feeling inspired.
Yes. Inspired.
Empowered to, go out there and make your mark on the world.
That's what we want. Remember, it's all about putting your best foot forward.
Yes.
Building genuine connections, navigating this whole world with confidence, with integrity.
Yeah, those are such important qualities.
Yeah.
But most importantly, finding work that aligns with your values.
Yes, that's key.
Something that fuels your passions.
Yeah, the things that get you excited to go to work every day.
Exactly. And allows you to contribute to something bigger than yourself.
Make a difference.
Yes. And remember, this is just the beginning.
It is. The journey continues.
Yes, it always does. So keep learning.
Keep growing.
Keep striving to be the best version of yourself.
Absolutely. Professionally and personally.
We've loved having you here on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.